Well, welcome back to the Valley Hoops Insider podcast, part of the Valley Hoops Insider website. Harry Schroeder with you today. That's Rob Ehsan, the head coach of the UIC Flames. Do you call them UIC or do you call them Illinois Chicago, or is there a dash in there? I mean, how do you guys type it all out every day?
We're Chicago's college team.
There we go.
UIC, the Flames, it's all in one. Exciting times here. Not just within our basketball program, but really on the campus, and a lot of good stuff going on right now with our university that a lot to be excited about.
Appreciate you being a part of the podcast today. 3-1 on the early start. Just how do you feel about just opening 4 games?
It's a good question, right? How do all the coaches feel right now? 2 weeks into the season. Yeah, I think it's gone fine. I think we still have every team, we have a lot to get better on. There's been some good moments for sure in the first couple games. We're finding more out about our team. We're still finding more out about individual players and how they fit. And I think one thing you sometimes forget as a coach is that there's a lot of excitement going into this going into the season especially when you have as many new players, 10 for us this year, 11 last year. But there is some time it takes, thinking back, to really create cohesion, especially on offense for us. And I think we're still kind of figuring it out. But it's been wish we were 4-0, a made shot or two away from being 4-0. That would obviously be great, but we feel like we're in a good spot and a great challenge coming up this week.
The Boardwalk Battle coming, and you guys have some good opportunities. As you do that, talk about the strategy of getting into one of these MTEs, if that's what we call it, and how you schedule that and who you want to play.
Well, Harry, I know one thing. It's been, common public knowledge that scheduling for Missouri Valley teams can be incredibly difficult. And for us, it's been, it was a huge challenge this offseason, trying to juggle a handful of things. And so the ability to go on a neutral court and play quality opponents, is something we had to figure out how to do that. This tournament gave us an opportunity, given the Missouri Valley Conference rules of scheduling as well. The ability to play High Point, who obviously has been very good the last couple of years and has started the year good this year. To play them on a neutral floor is a great opportunity for us. So, we're going to start there on Thursday. One of the best mid-major teams in the country, and it'll be a heck of a challenge. But yeah, this tournament will provide 2, good quality opponents on a neutral floor.
Before we talk more about that, I must admit, I wrote a long story for some website about all of the great incoming freshmen coming into the Missouri Valley Conference. And as a footnote, I mentioned your 2 guys.
You sure? Because not many people did.
Only a footnote. What I'm confessing to you my sins here, Father, that that I completely missed, right? Only a footnote. And so your 2 freshman guys that have been playing a lot, I know one of them hasn't been playing, but your 2 freshman guys, Johnson and Washington, talk about them and what they've provided and where you found them.
Well, I think leading into the season, you weren't the only one, and you read these articles and people ask questions, and Andy Johnson and Rashawn Washington's names never really came up. And I think, which is, respectfully, probably so, just looking at our team on paper. And I was telling everybody that, through the summer and through the first couple weeks of practice, that the young guys have played well, and particularly those 2. And to be honest, both incredible stories just in today's day and age in college basketball. And they have earned, the opportunities they've been given. And they have proven to, I think, their teammates that they're valuable to our team in different ways. They both can do different things. And to their credit, as we've started the season, you never really know how it's going to go sometimes when the games start, especially for freshmen, because it's different. And to their credit, they've played like they've practiced in games. And I think both of them, again, they're unique players, but they're really, really, high quality kids. Character, again, I can't say how much, because of how unselfish they are and how coachable they are. I think they've gained the respect of their teammates, which is a huge thing. And neither of them were highly touted. Neither of them were ranked. Rashawn Washington we were his first Division I scholarship. So they have also a cool sense of humility with them as well. And they've done good in the early part of the season.
Yeah, to describe their games to us, like tell us what kind of player Andy Johnson is and Washington is.
Yeah, Andy Johnson is really an all-around guard who, because of some injuries, has played some point guard for us, but is really more of a shooting guard, if you will, who just a good all-around basketball player, can shoot, dribble, pass. I think Andy has incredible feel for the game, good instincts for his age, and really plays with just a high motor. I mean, is very competitive. But you talk about giving max effort every day. He does it. It's just who he is. And then Rashawn Washington is, arguably our most athletic player as a freshman, just turned 18 a couple months ago. So incredibly young. And another guy who, he has very good basketball instincts and he plays within himself. Rashawn Washington never tries to do things offensively that's not within his skill set, within his comfort zone. But his athleticism on the defensive end and rebounding have been able to make an incredible impact on our team right away. And so I think, two kind of different players, but they both play those wing guard spots for us. And both have been, like I said, just really good to coach and willing to accept any role, start, come off the bench, play a lot, play a little. They just want to help the team win. And that's been awesome.
Opening night, Elijah Crawford has a good game for you. Hasn't played since. I'm assuming there's an injury there. Tell us about him.
He twisted his ankle at the end of the Detroit game, last couple minutes, and I think him, Elijah, our trainer, myself, thought it was one of those things where, hey, he just twisted it. He'll be fine in a couple minutes. Even after the game, we thought it was going to be, oh, he'll be fine tomorrow, and it kind of swelled up on him. He did twist it pretty good, and he's been kind of honestly struggling to recover. We thought he'd be back by now. He's doing his rehab every day. It's just been a slower process for him coming back than we thought, and hopefully soon. I think he's still day-to-day here leading into Florida, but hopefully soon he'll be back.
Do you have concerns? What I mean is when I look at your roster, you're not very big. You don't have a lot of size, and that would be my natural, just as an outsider looking in. Okay, I'm concerned they're not very big. What kinds of things do you think this team has to overcome to be successful?
Well, I think, we don't have many, maybe 6'10", and our four-man Makai at times is smaller, but we have good positional size at some other places and some length and athleticism that we didn't have last year. So on paper, we might have been taller last year, but we definitely weren't as big. We didn't play as big, in my opinion, as we played this year. The other thing is our depth inside makes up for, I think, the lack of potentially, a really big, maybe Missouri Valley typical big that you would think of. I think the shooting thing is going to be a challenge for us. We scoring in the half court is something we have to continue to get better at, getting chemistry within our play. So we got, we're going to, I don't know, it's a concern because I think our team is built around some different aspects of the game, but shooting is obviously important. And we're going to have to, I think, continue to shoot the ball better and work on that as we go, forward in the season.
You mentioned Makai, and I wanted to ask you about him. He was probably the guy that a lot of outsiders said he's your best transfer coming in, and talk about what he's been able to provide for you guys.
Makai Lowry is just a very unique player in terms of a really good size and skill set and versatile and can do a lot of different things. He's an amazing defender. He's kind of stepped into a different role this year. He's a year older. Obviously, he was on the Towson team that won their regular season conference. I think he really believes in what we're doing and believes in the right stuff, which is important. But just a mismatch, he's a mismatch problem out there at different positions because he can post up. He's good with the ball. He can pass. He can drive. And he can defend multiple positions. So kind of the way I've really liked how we've used him and how he's fit because of his versatility.
And we've gone, according to my clock, 9 minutes. We haven't talked about your leading scorer. Talk about Ahmad's second year with you guys.
Yeah, Ahmad has gotten off to a good start. He was injured a little bit in the preseason and practice, nothing too serious. And so he was kind of limping into the season. I think I was a little concerned, and he came off the bench that first game. And, Ahmad's toughness and his mental toughness, especially season started, man, he kind of especially early in those early games, man, he took off and making shots and doing what he does of being dynamic and pushing the ball with pace. And yeah, he's a veteran. He's been in our program now. This is second year, which, as we know, is a long time now in today's day and age. But he's from Chicago. He's really a fan favorite. I really, he gets a lot of support around here, and he started off the year. He has started off the year, on a good note, and we got to continue to keep it going.
And I know that getting guys from that area is important to you as well. Like you mentioned, we were joking at the beginning about college, Chicago's college team, but that is going to be some of the identity that'll help you, isn't it?
I think this year, really 5 or 6 guys, if you include some of our non-scholarship players, 7 guys from the Chicagoland area, from, the North Shore and the western suburbs and the south side of Chicago. I mean, we have a little bit of everything. It's been really cool. I think it's the one thing I've noticed is more people coming to the games, I think, to support these guys. And yeah, this was one of my goals when we started with the transfer portal, with high school recruiting, with how everything's changed. It didn't happen on last year's team, I think, like we would wanted it to, because at the end of the day, we want to I'd love to have a handful of Chicago guys like this year's team does. I think they have a sense of pride, a sense of toughness with them. But they also got to be the right kids. And I'm thankful that we, really did a good job of recruiting the right Chicago kids and some kids that really believe in what we're doing and are not only good players, but great kids.
You talked about shooting. I wrote the numbers down. You're shooting nearly 50% from the field, 30, almost 35 from 3, over 80 from the free throw line. You're shooting the ball well.
That's a coach for you, right, Eric?
Yeah. I'm like, wait, what's he talking about? I have notes right here.
Maybe it's because we were 2 of 18 from 3 last game. Yeah. Free throw shooting, we've put a ton of emphasis on it, though. So I'm not talking about the 3-point shooting. I think looking back, I guess, yeah, the stats say one thing. And the other thing I forgot to mention is we turn the ball over way too much. Getting shots, because of how good offensive rebounding we are, getting shots is as valuable as any team I've ever coached in 19 years. I've been preaching that. So hopefully as time goes, we get more chemistry with the offense too. We've turned it over a lot in the first few games. We got to cut back on that for sure.
This is your second year there, and certainly not your second year in coaching or as a head coach. But how are things different this year compared to last?
I think the biggest thing is just the style of play we're playing defensively is much different. We're one of the top teams in the country in turnover rate. We're forcing steals. We're still playing with pace, but just in a different way last year. So to be honest, I think the biggest difference is managing a very aggressive, defensive, physical style. And, we track, like most teams, the loads of practice and how that affects guys. And so it's kind of been a new thing for me this year as well. Kind of managing guys is, the physical, trying to be fresh, but also trying to be extremely physical in practice. We've also had more injuries, Harry, this year. Nothing, knock on wood, too serious, but we've also had more injuries. And I think part of it is the way we've competed and played against each other in practice. Our defensive style also has caused some problems for us to be able to practice against each other in an effective way, because what we do is unique, which has also been a unique challenge for me this year as a coach, trying to kind of balance that as well. So those are some of the things that, come to mind.
Yeah, it's interesting because you always have to evolve, don't you? There's always more to learn.
Well, I think, listen, it's, when I worked for Gary Williams at Maryland, we ran the flex offense every year. But to be honest, the flex offense was not sometimes as good as other years, depending on the personnel. But in back then and before the climate that we're in, you could recruit and keep guys and develop them for a couple of years. Now you have a new team every year. I don't think the way we played last year would be conducive to this team's success, and that's a challenge not just for myself, but for all coaches in your roster. And who do you have coming back? And do you keep continuity in what you do, or do you play more to the personnel you recruited? And who can you recruit? So there's a lot of different factors nowadays than there used to be.
We talked about you recruiting Chicago and about some of your young players, and some of the guys that are emerging early in the Missouri Valley, scenario are your guys, but also, a couple of Chicagoland guys that are starring, like at Valpo and at Illinois State and Bradley. And I think that wow, there's some really good talent in the Chicagoland.
One of the tricky things in coaching in the city, right, in the West Loop of Chicago, we are the hub of one of the greatest cities in the world. But you're spot on. And there's going to be, I have to watch myself, because there's going to be a lot of times when you look up and you're like, who's that kid? Then you look, you're like, he's from Illinois. Why didn't we recruit him? Yeah. I mean, but at a place like ours where we are, that happens more than anywhere else, maybe, in the country.
Sure.
Right? It was very similar to actually Maryland, because the DC area there were so many great players, and it was hard. You can't recruit them all. And I was watching a game the other night, and I was telling our staff, I'm like, this big kid was amazing. I looked him up. He was right from down the street 4 years ago, so I know, like, we got to try to get the right ones, but there's so many kids from this area, not just the city, but obviously from around the surrounding areas of Illinois, that have been successful in college. It's a great area to be in.
You mentioned just a shot or two away of beating Oregon State, and you'd be 4-0 and a win over Power of 5 conference. It's amazing how much one game, one way or another, can kind of shape the way people are thinking.
Well, yeah, 100%. And listen, to give Chicago State, we went in and played at Chicago State, which not many teams do, as you know. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many home games they've had in the last couple of years. Probably you could count on one hand the amount, because no one goes and plays there. And we were close there, and they fought their butts off, and they played an incredible game. They play a very unique style that's hard to play against. So it could go either way. And I think, one of my jobs is to just kind of continue to keep poised and don't let the emotions of games, wins and losses affect, our end goal of keep getting better, the process of working hard day after day, trying to be where our feet are, focus on the next game, and keep getting better.
We fans are in such a weird spot, because everything is like, go to the NCAA tournament or it's a failure, which is such a bad way, I think, to view college basketball or college basketball teams. But to play High Point, I think they're 93 in the latest Ken Palm. To play them on a neutral court this coming week is gigantic for your program, your sense of where we're going this year, as well as the whole conference. Just talk about, is there added pressure to a game like that, or like the one the other night with Oregon State?
I think naturally our guys are very aware. And as much as a coach, we try to, there's no difference from playing Chicago State, to playing at Oregon State, to now playing High Point. But I think naturally, listen, we're all humans, and we understand, you're going to get opportunities to play different teams in the non-conference. We can beat anybody can beat us. But I think, there's definitely some excitement to playing High Point. They went to the NCAA tournament, obviously last year. From what in the recruiting circles, they've done a good job of raising money and putting together a very good team. And it seems like they have a very strong investment in their program. So we know they have some names on there of some talented guys that, you saw on social media during recruiting. I think it's a great opportunity for us to try to play, to try to knock off somebody like that.
I do promise not to underrate your recruits in the future. And you guys just signed, Dikembe Shaw, I think, just this last week. Tell me about him.
Really excited about Dikembe Shaw. I really believe, Harry, he was, a diamond in the rough, if you will, from Crown Point, Indiana, comes from a great high school. They've had a lot of good players. A kid who played on a very good AAU team with a lot of guys who like to dominate the ball. And man, Dikembe Shaw just, unselfish, efficient, does a little bit of everything. I believe he will be he will be an impact player from day one. I really believe that as a freshman here, and somebody we're really, really thrilled about, to be honest.
So when I write that article next year, I will remember Dikembe Shaw, I promise.
We'll see. You never know.
Before I let you go, how does a coach keep perspective through the year? What I mean is, there are those ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, man, we're winning and people are talking about us. We hit a rough patch and a couple guys are injured. How do you keep those guys on that solid trajectory?
I think it starts really with, myself and the coaching staff. And I think it's something as a younger head coach I wasn't great at. I think now it's something in my second time around as a head coach that I've gotten much better at. But we have this saying that I do, at least, that I've talked to the team about. It's kind of like poise in the noise. And when you're down 20-5 at Oregon State, you got to have poise. You can't freak out. You can't. So this goes not just throughout the season, but within games. You got to have poise and belief that you can get back on track, which we did in that game, obviously, and had the lead at the end and lost it. But it's the same for the season. You got to have, a sturdy foundation of who you are, what you believe in, what you do, and try not to let the events that happen through the season, the losses, the wins, affect our response to them, and try to use those events, wins and losses, to create forward momentum going forward. And so I think that consistency and poise for me personally, and I think from our coaching staff, is really big.
Appreciate your time today. I hope you get a couple of wins in Florida.
Thanks, Harry. Appreciate it.
That's head coach Rob Ehsan of the Illinois Chicago Flames. And they're 3-1 and have a big weekend in Florida coming up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Remember, since you've been there, make it a better place. We'll see you again real soon.